Shalom. Before I begin, let me give all praises to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua, by Hashem HaKakodash, and the bonus to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. And shalom to the Akim teaching his word throughout the four corners and true sincerity. I'm back with another lesson. For the spirit of Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua, I wouldn't be edifying us to the elect. Okay, before I truly get into the lesson, the true name of God is Yahweh, which means he is or he exists. The name of his son, the world calls Jesus, so that's not his name. It is Yahweh Shai, which means he saves or he delivers. All right, and Yahweh was sending Yahweh Shai in these last days to deliver the elect from the four winds, which means delivering the elect that are scattered abroad. The Israelites, who are the Israelites? The so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. Just to mush it all up. All right, those represent the 12 tribes of Israel. All right, we have been scattered amongst different nations, for a punishment, but now we're living in times of, coming to pass. Okay, great prophecy coming to pass. All right, and we're being prepared to go through a lot of tribulation, a lot of persecution, a lot of hate. All right, and uprising are against the men of Yahweh Shemel Shai. All right, and we are counted blessed for these things, because these are the things that the men of old had to go through. So if we are those men of old, or if we are those men of old, all right, the scriptures tell us in Ecclesiastes 1:10 or 9, this is the thing that had been, it is with that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done. And there's no new thing under the sun. So the same way the prophets of old had to go through persecution, had to go through people, their family members, all right, and our own people coming against them. It's the same thing with us. There's nothing new under the sun. They always, hated the prophets. They hated Yahweh Shai, and that's what we represent. All right, Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. All right, because we represent, a light, in this world. Okay, and they don't like that light is shining. So because of that, they are condemned. All right, like, why this nigga calling me out on my wickedness? Who the fuck this nigga think he is? But not really paying attention or really hearing the message. All right, we coming to help y'all. All right, we rebuking, but all right, the rebuke is the best form of love. It's the correction. All right. What is that? John. This is John 3 and 20. I'm going to start at 18. It says, he that believeth on him is not condemned, but he that believeth not is condemned already, because he had not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of the Most High. And this is the condemnation, that light is come into the world, and men of darkness rather than light, because their deeds were evil. All right, so if you coming against our people and their lifestyle, all right, and because they got pride within them as well, we come up to them telling them, all right, you got to repent. The Lord coming back. All right, y'all niggas going off. You got to stop doing this and that. All right, they look at that as a bad message, but, this is just positive, reinforcement. All right, I believe that's the word. All right, positive reinforcement. All right, I believe that's the word I'm looking for. Okay, it says, for everyone that doeth for evil hateth the light, neither cometh to the light, lest his deeds should be reproved. All right, so because they're wicked, and we coming against them, all right, they hate it. All right, they hate that this light is shining on them. Like a cockroach in the dark. When the light come on, they run away. All right, it says, but he that doeth truth cometh to the light, that his deeds may be manifest, that they are wroth in the Most High. All right, let me get that in the NLT. Where I'm at. It says, John 3:18. It says, there is no judgment against anyone who believes in him. But anyone who does not believe has already been judged for not believing in the Most High's one and only Son. So, right, we got to believe on Yahweh Shai. You got men teaching about, worship Yahweh Shai, not saying the names, all right, shit like that, all right? It says, and the judgment is based on this fact: the Most High's light came into the world, but people loved the darkness more than the light, for their actions were evil. All right, prime example was Yahweh Shai. He came into the world representing that light, and you got wicked niggas, all right, those scribes and high priests, and those wicked Pharisees coming against Yahweh Shai, talking shit. All right, not really understanding, not understanding the message, or not even trying to understand the message, but just scoffing at every good that he did. All right, just bitch ass niggas, to put it frank. It says, all who do evil hate the light and refuse to go near it for fear their sins will be exposed. Because people know that they're wicked. Right? They know that they off. Because we all have a zeal, a conscience, right? Jay like to call it a conscience. We all have a conscience, a zeal, that when we're doing wrong, that we ain't supposed to be doing that. Like, oh, I'm not eating this pork. I know I'm supposed to be eating it. All right. But it's so good to them that they cast it off, and then, you know, when they being exposed about it, they don't like it. All right, because if you're doing something in secret and somebody expose you, you embarrassed. You embarrassed. Like, how the fuck this nigga know what I'm doing? Who the fuck this nigga think he is? You can't tell me what to do. You know, saying shit like that. All right, getting bucking up. It says, but those who do what is right, come to the light so others can see what they're doing. So they see that they're doing what the Most High wants. So we just doing what the Lord, wants us to do. Because we don't want to be destroyed. All right, but, tying into this lesson, I wanted to focus on, how, there's going to be a lot of, false, witnesses, all right, coming, against, the men of Yahweh Shem Shah. Because as I was reading Luke, you hear about in Matt, same thing, but you hear about the, the false, people bearing false witness, how the people sought false witnesses, and also in Acts, how they sought, false witnesses to come against the men of Yahweh Shem Shai. All right, and it ties in this as well, because, we represent that light in the world, and because that light is shining, people want to try to, dim that light. But you're only doing what the scriptures told. You're only doing what the scriptures told. Us what was going to go down. So you're really making that light, shine brighter. All right, because now we can really proclaim the names of Yahweh Shem Shai. Whatever the case may be, if we get put to death, or the Lord delivers us, we go call upon the name of Yahweh Shema Shai, and that light is only going to shine greater. All right, because the scriptures tell us to in Sirach. Where's that? That's Sirach 6. Just a minute. In Sirach 4:20, it says, strive for the truth unto death, and the Lord shall fight for thee. So, hey, that's what we doing. We striving for the truth unto death. All right, so we all in. Okay, and the Lord's going to fight for us. So people trying to come up against us, all right, thinking it's go dim the light, is not. We ready to put our lives on the line for the Lord, because we know the reward, behind it. All right, we know the reward. All right, this is Matthew 10. No, Matthew 6, like it. Matthew 6. And no, so Matthew 5, so like it. Matthew 5, and start at 10. It says, blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Right, all right, because when you put your life, on the line, or you give your life for the Lord, all right, you basically completed your course. It was your lot, right, to be persecuted for the name of Yahweh Shem Shai. And I be saying this a lot. What more can you give, all right, than your life? What greater love and commitment can you give, than giving your life, for the Lord? You can't give more than that. How much money you can give. People can have all the money in the world, but when it really comes down to it, are you willing to lose your life, all right, for the Lord? All right, are you willing to be persecuted? Are you willing to be hated, embarrassed? Things that test your character is what truly matters in the times of adversity. All right, because when things get shaky, when the waters get shaky, all right, Jake like to flee. All right, that's why when you read in Matthew, what is that, 13? Matthew 13 and 21. It's like it says, yet had he not rooted himself, but there for a while, for when tribulation or persecution ariseth, because of the world, by and by he is finished. So when things get shaky, you know, they like to complain, they like to flee, like, what the fuck is this? I ain't signed up for this. What is going on? But because, you know, we don't love our lives unto death, all right, we don't care, all right, what the things we gotta go through. We don't care about the embarrassment. We don't care about, you know, people hating us. That's just what comes with a lot of being a prophet. All right, and if we those men of old, all right, we just going through it, you know, once again. All right, because as I read in the beginning of the lesson, the thing that had been is that what shall be done. There's nothing new. There's no new thing under the sun. So the things that happened, you know, in the past, they just happen again. All right, because you did it before. You know, it's a cycle. You die, all right, you come back, you do the same thing. Scripture say the spirits of the prophets are subject unto what? The prophets. Okay, so the prophet is gonna have that spirit. All right, no matter what, you know, adversity. What's the word? It's another word. No matter what obstacle or right on the top of my tongue. No matter what opposition, all right, that's the word. No matter what opposition comes their way, all right, we not gonna get offended. We not gonna complain. All right, we might be fighting in the mind at most, but then the spirit go kick in. All right, same thing with what was going on with Jeremiah. All right, he was being made a derision daily. All right, but the spirit hopped on him. Okay, and he still taught the word. Okay, so the Lord has installed in us a different spirit, you know, to do this job. You know, the same thing was told to Ezekiel. You know, don't be afraid of the words. Okay. You know, make that head hard like the stone. You know, roughly paraphrasing it. All right, because our people, you know, they scarf, they talk shit. You know, they threaten, you know, to try to shake us, but that don't matter. Right? We're not fearful of that. And when that time comes, when, you know, Esau comes with that sword, and, you know, it takes us to whatever concentration camp he got, and our faces on the news, our people gonna be the main ones coming up. And if they don't, it's gonna be a lot of, you know, people bearing false witness. You got our people, you know, bearing false witness now. You had some niggas, wicked ass niggas, talking about the elders and apostles told them to forsake their children and their wife. That's completely off. Right? The scriptures talk about, you know, you doing that. You know, that's your obligation. That's your duty to take care, you know, of your seed and your wife. That's your household. Or how can you, you know, lead the church if your house not in order? You completely left your house. Right? So that's not even, you know, that's not even realistic. All right, but just put it into perspective. You know, you already got niggas now saying that. People calling niggas calling the men of the Lord, GMS. All right, calling us rapists and things like that. All right, so we just going into the law. We telling you what the law, you know, tell you what to do. You know, according to that, you know, situation. All right, because there has to be a law in that. All right, the Lord is a judge, and these are things that, you know, happen, you know, within Israel. All right, what if there was not no law against it? All right, there was just no law. How would you deal with that situation? All right, you know, but getting, you know, focusing back on the point. All right, these are things that we are prepared to, you know, go through. You know, because when the first thing your mind will go to, you know, when somebody lying on you, all right, is going to be you go try to defend yourself. All right, the Lord may have it that we may say something that we may not. I'm going to read this too. All right, just looking at it. Proverbs 19:5. It says, a false witness shall not be unpunished, and he that speaketh lies shall not escape. So people that's, you know, coming up, you know, bearing false witness, there's a judgment, you know, for that. So tell us don't bear false witness, because you lying on this man's life. All right, because you bear false witness, all right, in the court. All right, lying on the man just to see him get put to death. You might as well hold the gun to his head and shoot him yourself. Right, because that's what you're doing. There's a lot. I want to get on Acts. I want to get in Matthew. Sorry. Matthew 26 and start at 59. It says, now the chief priests and elders and all the council sought false witness against Yahushua to put him to death. So, that's the reason of, having a false witness, to try to put somebody to death, for unrighteous, cause. You just want to see him die, but you need the right means in the court. All right, because how can you go to the court with no evidence? It says, and said, this fellow said, I am able to destroy the temple of the Most High and to build it in 3 days. All right, and the high priest arose and said unto him, answer thou nothing. What is that? What is it? Was these witness against thee? And says, but Yahushua held his peace, and the high priest answered and said unto him, I assure thee by the living power that thou tellest whether thou be the Mashiach, the son of the Most High. And Yahushua said unto him, that I said, nevertheless I say unto you, hereafter shall ye see the Son of Man sitting on the right hand of power and coming in the clouds of heaven. All right, going into, his return. All right. So, this is situations that, we will be a part of. Whether it be the Lord have, Lord have you say something like Yahushua, or say, nothing. Because say Yahushua held his peace. All right, we ain't going to be in that room, going back and forth, Esau. Lord can't have it like that. But we ain't going to be trying to, defend ourselves against this devil. Because this devil already know the truth. All right, he know that we the men of the Lord. He watch us on a day-to-day basis. He know what we do. All right, if anything, the Lord will have us cuss him out. All right. Like Andrew 16 and 70. It says, for there shall be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear, the Lord. So arising against who? Those that fear the Lord, the men of Yahweh Shai, the elect. All right. People will come up against us, mainly Esau Edom. It says, they shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that for the Lord, Esau Edom. All right. Go be a madman. It says, for they shall waste to take away their goods and cast them out of their houses. All right. Another reason why, they go come up against us because we're not down for the system. All right. So because of that, they go take us out of our houses. They go put us in camps, etc. X us out of society. All right, try to make us, fold and take the C-hip, the chip in Revelation 13 and 16. But, that's not the lot of the men of the Lord. It says, then shall they be known who are my chosen. They shall be tried as gold in the fire. So, then you go into at that time, who are the men of Yahweh Shai? If you got troops coming at you, putting you in a room with fucking Ron DeSantis, all right, the governor of Florida, you got you doing with Ron DeSantis, or fucking you might end up in a room with DJ Trump or some shit, with a high official, the Rothschilds, whatever the case may be, to tempt you, because they all tied in, into this new world order system. All right, if you end up in that situation, the Lord come through for you, then it will be known. All right. But it says, hear, O ye my beloved, saith the Lord, behold, the days of trouble are at hand, but I will deliver you from the same. So even though these times are coming, we are not fearful of what's, going to happen. Because, see, we've already been told what's going to happen. And the Lord is telling us not to fear. Because these things are just, a part of our, story. To show whether this man is going to stand, stiffly for the name of Yahweh Shai Shai and not. Our so can be on your report that you had a good report, that you when you received that crown, that you had a that's when you get that crown in second chapter, that you stood stiffly. All right. And because you stood stiffly, all right, the Lord is gonna reward you because of that. Reward us, because of it. I says, be not afraid, neither doubt, for the Most High is your guide. All right, so we are not to be fearful of what's to come. All right, because the Lord is going to direct our steps, within these times. All right. Because things that we talk about, destruction, the judgment, that's not a judgment that we're supposed to be afraid of. All right, the only reason that you would be afraid if you just being a wicked ass nigga, you know, behind the scenes. All right. You know, that doesn't go be for, you know, the heathens and 2/3 of our people that didn't want to take it. That was being willingly, you know, ignorant and off. All right. You know, but without loneliness, let's edifying. I want to give all praises to you.